Welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I'm doing the best luxury makeup for fall. I can't believe fall is here, but I like to do these kind of themed makeup, like best of makeup per season, just because when the seasons change, so do my preferences when it comes to makeup. So when it comes to skin in the fall and winter time, I definitely go for something with a little bit more coverage. And I'm not sure why that is, but I think it's because in the fall and winter time, the climate is a little bit drier, so then my skin gets a little dull and drier. So I want something with a little bit more coverage. And then I also like something with a little bit of a glow because, again, the winter and fall months, maybe the weather is a little bit dull, so my skin is a little bit duller. And I just like products that kind of bring my complexion back to life. And then in terms of eyeshadows, I definitely go for something a little bit more smoky. I tend to, in the summertime, go for those one and done, really simple looks. And I'm not gonna lie, I definitely do that in the fall time as well. But I like something with a little bit more shimmer. Now, you know, I like something with a more sophisticated shimmer. So I still do love those sophisticated shimmers, but something with a little bit more reflection. So you could even call it like a slight metallic, I guess, but it's still soft in comparison to an actual glitter formula. So I'm just going to get started. If you guys don't know, the premise of my channel is finding the best of the best products. So this is the best of fall luxury makeup. So I kind of split this up into everyday foundations and then something if I don't know, maybe more of a special occasion or if I want more coverage. So for an everyday basis, this is just a go-to for the fall time. This is the Chanel Le Beige Water Fresh Complexion Touch. Now, I can't say it's a go-to for the fall time because literally this was released in the summertime, but I have a feeling I'm going to be reaching for this in the fall time just because I love the Water Fresh tint from Chanel. It is an extremely light coverage. I don't even want to say a foundation. It's basically just a tint, a skin tint. And this just adds a little bit, it's like an amped up version of the Chanel Water Fresh tint. I wear this in the shade B30. I could probably have done a B40 for applying all over my skin. But this is just a fantastic product because it is exactly like the Water Fresh tint. It just has a little bit more coverage. So it is going to add that blurred effect. It is going to really filter out any texture on your skin. If you're someone that suffers from texture on your skin, and again, especially in the fall and winter, if you are someone that tends to get dryness on the skin, this is extremely forgiving on textured skin. It just smooths over that area, makes everything look really blurred. It does more for the texture of your skin versus adding like a ton of coverage. But because this adds just a little bit more coverage than the Water Fresh tint, this is something I feel like I'm going to be using a lot in the fall and winter when my skin is just feeling a little bit more dull or have a little bit more redness. This is just a fantastic complexion product for everyday use because it is not heavy at all. You do not detect the makeup sitting on your skin. And then another foundation that I absolutely adore in the fall and winter time because it just feels so good on your skin. This is the Chantecaille Future Skin Oil-Free Gel Foundation. I wear this in the shade Cream, and if you can tell, I don't know if you can, but I am like 3/4 of the way through this. I'm going to need to pick up a backup probably at the end of this year. I'm hoping to actually go through this product. But this is, again, a really great skin tint. This is very similar in level of coverage with the Chanel Water Fresh Complexion Touch. Very similar coverage levels, but this is even, I would say, a little bit lighter coverage, like just a tad bit. And it adds a little bit more of a glow. But again, it adds that really beautiful filtered effect to your skin. This is something that I use if I am going to be meeting people in person because it's a really great in-person foundation because, again, it's very undetectable on the skin. You're not going to see product sitting on the skin. It's just a very beautiful everyday foundation if you don't want it to look like you are wearing makeup, but it's going to even out your complexion. So if I am suffering from any redness or if I am feeling like my skin is very dull, this adds brightness to my skin. It adds that youthfulness back to my skin. It's a very plumping foundation. So if you just feel like maybe your skin is looking like it's aging or it's just feeling extremely dry, there's something very plumping in this foundation. And I feel like because of that plumping effect, it is a very youthful foundation, which is why I love it in the fall time especially. It's just gorgeous. And I love the undertone of this because it has like a brightness effect to it. So it just makes my skin look really lovely. And then for a more special occasion, maybe not every day, you could wear these foundations every day. They just have a little bit more coverage and they're a little bit more on the pricey side. But the first one I want to mention is the Chanel Sublimage L'Essence de Teint. This is just elegance in a foundation. That is the best word that I like to use when I describe this foundation, because everything about this foundation is luxurious and elegant on the skin. It just is so refined on the skin. But again, it's not makeup-y, it's not cakey. You can't detect this foundation on your skin. It definitely has a little bit more coverage than these guys, but it's nothing like a full coverage foundation. This is more on the medium coverage side. It just looks like your skin is enhanced. Your skin is beautiful and just such a gorgeous, gorgeous product. It adds that blurred effect because that's important to me. So you're gonna hear me mention that about all these foundations. But it's just such a great, great product, and something that I definitely used quite a lot last year in the fall time because it was just so, so lovely on the skin. And again, it adds that youthfulness back to your skin, especially if my skin is feeling dull or anything like that. And then the next foundation I have to mention is the Peau Radiant Cream Foundation. Now, this was a reformulated foundation that Peau released earlier this year. I didn't use it a lot in the summertime, and there's a few reasons why. First reason is that it has a little bit more coverage, so this is a solid medium coverage foundation. In the summertime, I'm just someone who prefers a skin tint. I like minimal product on my skin. Sometimes I won't even wear foundation at all. I'll just wear a little bit of concealer. That's just my preference in the summertime. But in the fall time, I like something with, like I said, a little bit more coverage, a little bit more of a kind of glow from within, a lit from within look. And this is that product. This is just Healthy Skin in a tube. It is going to provide you with a medium coverage, but it's not cakey, it's not makeup-y. This is something that I'll be reaching for more special occasions, if I'm going out for dinner, if I just have more of an evening event. This is the foundation I will reach for, because while this does provide me with coverage, it looks absolutely beautiful on the skin. It is just a very stunning foundation. You may notice I look a little bit different in this clip, and that's because I'm coming to you at a different day, because I actually filmed this video before I tested out the Guerlain Peau Gold Skin Matte Foundation. And I just want to say, highly recommend this for a fall time foundation. I think this has the most beautiful, sophisticated matte finish, incredibly long wearing. I will link down my review down below. So incredibly long wearing. It is very poreless, refined on the skin. It makes you look like you have a filter. It just gives you the best soft focus effect. The prettiest matte foundation I've ever tried. So highly recommend this for the fall time as well. Now again, for powder, I usually, again, my skin can be a little bit more dull in the fall and winter time. I have sensitive skin, so I am prone to redness. So I look for something that maybe will provide me with a little bit of coverage, especially if I am going for a lighter coverage foundation. This is the Chantecaille Perfect Blur Finishing Powder. I am embarrassed to even show you this because I have used like 3/4 of it. I do have a backup, but I want to get through this powder, so it is just going to be a little broken until I use this up. But this is a really great powder if I want that really perfected look, because if you can tell, this is not a translucent powder. This has a little bit of a tint to it. So this is going to add a slight bit of coverage to the skin, and it is going to alter your foundation a little bit. Just because this does have a little bit of color to it, it will provide a little bit of a tint. So I would just make sure, they do have this in 2 different colors. I wish they really stood in a few different shades, just because again, it isn't translucent. But this is fantastic if you want that perfected look. So this is literally a filtered powder. It gives you that filtered appearance when you apply this onto your skin. And how I like to apply this is I'll just go in with a brush and I stamp it onto the skin. I do not wipe product or buff it into the skin, because that is going to disturb texture on your skin essentially. So if you have any texture or dryness, it's just going to emphasize that if you buff things into your skin. So you want to really make sure that you're pressing it into the skin. It's that kind of powder that once you apply it onto the skin, it is a baked powder, so after like 10 minutes, it sort of just melts into your skin and just kind of becomes infused. For bronzers, I'm going to mention just a brand essentially. So this is the Guerlain bronzers. You can't go wrong with either option, but in the fall time, I definitely like something with more of a matte finish. I tend to forego my more shimmery bronzers, so like the Sicily bronzer, while that has a beautiful golden sheen, I don't know why, but in the fall time, I prefer something that's a little bit more matte. So this first one is the Guerlain Terracotta Bronzer in the shade 03 Medium Warm. just a really great flattering matte bronzer. Sometimes when you associate with a matte bronzer, you're going to think it looks maybe flat or dull on the skin, but this doesn't at all. It has a really nice warmth to it. The formula of this is so great. It just is so blendable. It is very forgiving on the skin for a matte formula. It gives you life to your skin. And then the other bronzer is something you've heard me talk about, the Guerlain Terracotta Light, shade Medium Warm. This is the Sunkissed Healthy Glow Powder. Again, this has a combination of bronzer and blush in it. So what it does is it adds that youthfulness back to your skin. It adds that really nice glow. And like I said, my skin in the winter time or in the fall time can be a little bit more dull. And because this has that peachiness with that a little bit of a blush shade in it, it's going to add that youthfulness, that skin-like glow back to your skin if you are feeling like your skin is a little bit dull this time of year. Now, blush was actually relatively easy for me because in the fall time, I tend to go for more nude shades that are kind of almost in between a bronzer and a blush. You could almost, I don't want to say you could use them as a bronzer, you couldn't. They're more of a blush tone, but they're that really beautiful kind of terracotta shade. So I'm not wearing anything punchy or bright on the skin. I just feel like that's a little bit too obnoxious in the fall. I just want something nude that's going to add a little bit of color to my skin, but it isn't going to take away from the complexion or anything. It's just going to be basically like my cheeks, but better. And my favorite ones, I don't mean to be redundant, but the Peau blush, powder blush duo in the shade 105, specifically this terracotta shade right here. I predominantly will just go in with this shade. Maybe if I want a pop of color, I'll go into this shade if I'm feeling like extra dull or something, but this shade is just fall in a blush. Like that is just the perfect terracotta shade for the fall time. It is just the perfect nude shade, I think. Such a great formula. You've heard me talk about this over and over. I don't, again, want to be redundant, but this is just the most beautiful blush to really enhance your cheeks. Can't recommend it enough. It's basically like a powder to cream formula, if I could describe it best. And then next for blush is something, I feel like this has been sold out for so long, but I had to mention it because this is like the epitome of a fall blush. If you can tell, it's like a nude rose bronze shade. It has these beautiful tones to it. It's more like a tan shade. This is the Dior Rouge blush in the shade 459 Charnelle. And I decided to mention this, even though I think it's sold out. I think they are releasing this in their fall collection. And what a great product to bring out in their fall collection, even though it is a permanent item. So you think maybe they'd release something different. But this is just the perfect fall shade. It is so, so gorgeous on the skin. Very similar to the Peau blush formula. It's almost like a powder to cream formula. It really does melt into the skin. The difference I would say is that this Dior blush has a little bit more pigment to it, so you want it to be a little bit lighter hand when you apply it onto the skin. What I do though is I will just dip my brush in, tap off the excess on the back of my hand, and then go in on the cheeks. And you just kind of pat it right in, and it's just so beautiful. This doesn't have any sort of detectable shimmer, but it has like an ever so soft glow to it. But again, it's just one of those cheek products that really enhances your skin and makes your cheeks look just really youthful and gorgeous. Such a beautiful terracotta shade that is perfect for the fall time. Like I just feel like that is fall leaves in a cheek shade. I love it. When it comes to fall time and highlighters, I will admit, if I'm going to skip one product in the fall, it is normally going to be a highlighter, just because I don't know, I kind of prefer that matte looking skin in the winter or in the fall time. But if I do want to add a little bit of glow, I like something with a little bit more color to it versus like a really bright, blinding highlight. Now, Peau recently reformulated their Luminizing skin enhancers, but the problem that I found with it is that the colors, now some of the colors were beautiful in the 3-digit line, I guess you could say, but those highlighters that have the 3 digits are more intense, blinding highlights that I knew I would not enjoy. And then the double-digit highlighters are the more soft formula that you could compare to their previous formula, which is absolutely beautiful. Those highlighters that Peau released previously, I don't even want to call them highlighters. They were, again, I guess they would be a luminizing face enhancer because they really just did enhance your skin and makes your skin look better, adding a very soft, subtle glow. And that's what I really like. If I had to choose a highlighter to add in the fall time, it would be something subtle and soft that it just adds that lit from within effect, where you can't actually detect any noticeable shimmer. And these double-digit highlighters definitely are that. But some of the double-digit highlighters, sorry, I'm going on a tangent here, were either very cool toned and very pale. The one warmer shade in that line was very dark, and that is the shade 22. I decided to order it anyways just because I'm such a huge fan of the Parure formula. And it does look really dark, I will not lie. But on the skin, it's really interesting because when I swatch it, it does add a little bit of a bronzed effect. I don't know if you can really tell, but it does appear a little bit deeper than my hand. But when I applied it onto the skin, I was shocked because it almost brightens up on the skin, and it just provided me with the most beautiful, soft, subtle glow. I can't really actually detect the color payoff on my cheek. This is just such a beautiful formula. It is so soft when you feel it. A very delicate highlighter. If you are just looking for something with a really subtle, soft glow, definitely try out the shade. Now this is, did I even tell you the shade? Probably not. This is the shade number 22, Shooting Stars. And again, it's just a really subtle highlight. This just adds this really lovely glow. There's just something soft and beautiful and naturally enhancing about this product. It is exactly what it's called, a face enhancer. Really, really enhances the skin in the most subtle way. For eyeshadows, I wanted to discuss one and done shadows first because I have to talk about one and dones. They're my favorite. So in the fall time, I definitely prefer one and dones that offer a little bit more, I guess, pizzazz, you could say. I definitely still like that sophisticated shimmer, but I don't mind if something has a little bit more shimmer than normal. Like, it's just not as continuous as I normally like. You can definitely see a little bit of that reflection, kind of more of that sporadic shimmer, but it is still very elegant and refined as well. So the first shade that I have to mention is the Bobbi Brown Luxe Eyeshadows Rich Metal in the shade Heat Ray. I just think this color is perfect for the fall time because it is more of a warm shade. It is, I guess I would call it a copper shade, but it is so beautiful. Can you see just how beautiful and glowing that looks? It gives you that sort of wet, kind of foiled effect, but again, very sophisticated shimmer. You aren't going to see any chunkiness. There aren't glitter chunks in this at all, but it just provides you with this beautiful glow that is so elegant on the eyes. Because this is a baked eyeshadow, it also has that technology where it kind of starts to melt into the eyes as well. And then I also had to mention the Chantecaille Luminescent eye shades. These are just always a standout product to me, but again, especially in the fall time, if I want something that's just a little bit more rich than like the Chantecaille Mermaid eye colors, or that's a little bit more of a glow than a typical shimmery eyeshadow, these just have a little bit more to them, and you can use these wet and dry. And this shade that I am swatching right here is the shade Elephant. So it's a shimmering taupe gray. Just really gorgeous. If you're looking for something more cool toned that's going to provide you with this really beautiful smokiness, you can go in with this, again, just as a one and done. And it's just so smoky and beautiful on the eye. This shimmer is just so sophisticated. I feel like it has a little bit more intensity than the Bobbi Brown, but again, just the most elegant, sophisticated shimmers. I also love the shade Lion. If you're looking for the perfect fall time shade, a gorgeous one and done. I also love the shade Lion. It's absolutely beautiful. And I am wearing the Bobbi Brown eyeshadow today. I literally just went in with my fingertips and blended it out with a brush, and that is it. It is so easy breezy. And then for eyeshadow palettes, I pulled out just two that I thought were the best to mention. So the first I have to mention is the Tom Ford. This is the Color Creme shadow in the shade Smoky Quartz. I just feel like these tones are perfect fall shades. I think this was released in January, but I feel like it would have been perfect if Tom Ford released this in the fall time because these shades are just so gorgeous. They have really beautiful, rich pigmentation to it, but they're so creamy on the eyes. If you're someone with mature skin who finds matte eyeshadows more unforgiving, or you have problems with them because they can maybe add texture to your skin, these are gorgeous if you have more mature skin because they are a powder to cream formula, so they almost have this quality where they are going to melt onto the eyes, I guess you could say. That sounds weird, but they have this melting capability where they just kind of infuse, so they don't look dry, they don't look textured on the eyes. They, again, are really rich in pigmentation, but they're easy to blend. They're very buildable, and the colors of these are gorgeous because they have this smokiness to them, but they have this beautiful warmth that I feel like that is just fall time in a palette, I feel like. And when you feel them, they don't feel like an actual cream eyeshadow. I just feel like the best explanation for them is that they are creamier than a normal powder eyeshadow. Fantastic formula. I just feel like this palette screams fall. And then Chanel, I had to talk about them. This is the Chanel Le Ombre Tweed Multi-Effect Quadra Eyeshadow in the shade 01 Tweed Couvre. So this was obviously released as part of the Tweed collection. This is still available in the US. I believe it is sold out in Canada now. But these shades, like when you look at this, it's just fall foliage in a palette. These shadows are really beautiful because they definitely lean on, they're not like super warm shadows, they're more neutral, they lean warm, but they have this antiqued quality to it. They almost have this reddened tone to these shades, which I feel like makes it a perfect fall palette. These are all beautiful shimmery tones, but they're a sophisticated shimmer. They're definitely less shimmery than the Chantecaille luminescent eye shades. They just give you a beautiful sheen, except this one. This is more of an eyeshadow topper. This is definitely more of a, I'm going to say it, it is more of a chunky glitter. It's going to provide lots of fallout, going to kind of fall out on your eyes. It's definitely more of a chunky glitter, even in comparison to the Chantecaille luminescent eye shades. So this is the one shade I just kind of dislike in the palette, but forget about that shade. All the other shades are beautiful. They have this antiqued quality to it. They just are so flattering on the eyes. I feel like they are really flattering on my skin tone and eye color, especially. I have blue eyes, so if you have blue eyes, they'll just make your eyes pop because of that slight reddened tone to it. But because it does have a bit of a red tone to it, it will also really enhance your eyes no matter what color they are, because no one has red eyes. So if you have brown eyes, it will bring out the warmth in your brown eyes. If you have green eyes, it will of course bring out the green in your eyes. I just wanted to quickly mention the Le Beige Healthy Glow Natural Eyeshadow Palette in Intense. I know this was supposed to be a summer release, but to me these are more fall tones. I feel like the deeper green tones scream more fall to me than it does summer, but that's just me personally. This is another great eyeshadow palette. This is a typical powder formula, so it's more like powdery than this Tom Ford eyeshadow palette, but they're very easy to blend. Chanel just does a great job of reaching out to that clientele that prefers more of a soft, sophisticated sheen. Like me personally, I don't like anything too intense. I don't want intense color payoff right off the bat. I like to build up my eyeshadows. I like something soft and subtle that looks really natural. So for me, Chanel is a brand that I love to buy from because I'm kind of their target audience. I want to say I like really soft, subtle makeup. I like makeup that just enhances my features. I don't like something that's really punchy and pigmented right off the bat, which a lot of products on the market are now kind of targeted towards. I like something you can really build up that is more sheer when you apply it. So if you're looking for that soft, subtle, sophisticated shimmer, buildable formulas, those are great palettes. And I'm quickly going to go over lip products. Now lip products, I'm super boring and basic when it comes to lip products. I never go for bold colors, which I know in the fall time a lot of people reach for like plummy shades or reds. That's just outside my comfort zone. I basically like to wipe off my lipstick. That's the first thing that I will wipe off because, I don't know, I'm just boring. But I definitely like to go for richer nudes. So maybe in the summertime I go for those kind of, I don't want to say they're like really light nudes, but they are lighter than my natural lip color. And in the fall time, I like something that's a little bit more richer. So it's more of that rosebud, Your Lips But Butter shade. They almost have a plummy undertone to it. Just a little bit deeper, but not too deep. So the first shade I have to mention, the Merit Signature Lightweight Lipstick in the shade Baby. This is just the perfect everyday nude. It's like, I'm sorry, that was just the best nude lipstick. It's so lightweight, so comfortable on the lips. I don't even require a lip liner when I wear this product. It's what I'm wearing today. It's just so gorgeous. It is Your Lips But Better. A little bit of a deeper nude. So incredibly flattering. One of the best lip products ever. Another product that is super similar to the Merit lipstick is the Chantecaille Lip Veil in the shade Honey Pot. And again, you can tell how much I love this color because that is all I have left. This is very similar shade to the Merit. It's a little bit lighter though, so it is not going to offer as much color. And it is a little bit, I guess you could say, glossier than the Merit lipstick, but they're both extremely lightweight. They're incredibly flattering, but they do offer something that's a little bit more than just a nude lipstick. They give you a little bit more life. They give you a little bit more color than just a basic nude lipstick. And then my favorite gloss for the fall time, this is the Clé de Peau Brilliant Lip Gloss in the shade Warm Crystal. So I've talked about the shade Charm a lot, which is beautiful, just neutral nude shade, but this shade Warm Crystal has a little bit of a sheen to it, and it's honestly more of a brown tone. So I definitely like to go for something maybe a little bit more on the browny nude side in the fall time because for some reason those brown tones just scream fall to me. So if I want something that's a bit more of a browny tint, now this is a very ever so soft tint, so it's just going to add a little bit of that brown tint. Very neutral. It's still a nude shade that's just going to give you a little bit of color, but it's so beautiful. And again, I've talked about this formula many times, just how lovely the texture is on your lips. It just feels incredibly comfortable. Of course, it is not going to be long wearing, but it's a really nice product to touch up with because something that's just a bit more than a kind of clear lip gloss is going to provide your lips with a little bit of color. But that is everything for my best luxury makeup for fall time. I really hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please let me know your favorite products down below that you tend to pull for in the fall time. Do your makeup preferences change when the weather changes as well? I would love to hear from you. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Like this video if you like it, and I will see you in my next video.